Now Peter Curran visits one of the more remote tribes of science at the Isaac Newton Institute for Mathematics in Cambridge.
Hello, I'm Christine West. I'm the administrator here at the Institute. You get the sort of boffin image, I suppose, with the mad hair and things like this. You do get those. Some of them wear shorts at any time of the day or night and year. T-shirts inside out. Same T-shirt for 6 months inside out even. It sometimes depends on whether the wife's here with them or family, partner, whatever's here with them as well.
How are you? Peter Curran.
Thank you very
Nice
much
to meet
for
you.
coming up.
Oh, listen, my pleasure.
Yeah, good. Well, I hope you enjoy the visit, actually.
It's a wonderfully stylish but understated exterior you have to the Institute.
Exactly so. I mean, it's a bit like the TARDIS, if you're a Doctor Who fan.
Yeah.
It contrasts a bit with the other buildings, as they look fantastic on the outside. I'm not sure I should say this. I'm not sure they're quite as efficient in the. Sorry, that's the start of a talk here. So maybe probably just as well it drowned out what I was about to say.
No, it wasn't a call to mathematical prayer of some kind, or incantation of algebra.
Well, I mean, you have to. It's up to you to interpret what goes on in there. But I don't think people think of it in terms of prayer. But it is a great form of absorption, that's for sure.
Would you mind just taking us on a walk then?
No, we'll do that.
Wonderful.
We'll do that.
Excellent.
Yeah, okay. This is kind of strange.
Why it is strange? It is this piece which is strange?
No, I mean, not that the piece itself is strange, but it's strange.
This is a haven for some of the world's finest mathematical minds. A sanctuary of white walls and blonde wood, where by invitation only, mathematicians come to stay and to contemplate and illuminate mathematical truth. It's open 24 hours a day, and even in this so-called relaxation area with a coffee bar, there are blackboards with mathematical algebraic formula all over them, although that one has rather worryingly, after all that work, got a little sign saying please erase on the bottom of it. I'm told that even the lifts and toilets in this place have chalkboards just in case inspiration strikes unexpectedly.
So then what do you define? You define some space of functions here.
Yes, you take characteristic function of this and you do write induction at function.
And you do it for...
You have to be motivated to do this. I mean, math is never a 9-to-5 job. You know, it's in your head. You're doing it when you're sitting on the loo, frequently when you wake up in the middle of the night. So you can't help but be interested in it as a subject.
I suppose it's interesting to hear you say that about that it's 24 hours a day that you're...
But it doesn't feel like work unless you're under other pressures. Right? If you're under other pressures to do all the other, let's call it slightly more routine things, even though there can be lots of satisfaction in teaching, then it can be quite frustrating. But doing research, when you're into it, hours pass.
And is doing research a mixture of work and relaxation almost, if it's all consuming like that?
Yes.
Gerhard, I presume?
Yep.
How are you doing? Nice to meet you.
Peter.
Meinhold?
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Tell us what you do here.
What do we do here? Well, we do research in mathematics.
It's much more complex than that, isn't it?
Well, so you mean you want to know some mathematical things, or is it in much broader terms? Or
Well, it does get to the dilemma. I know that we're, in terms of mathematical research, we're right at the top of the mountain. If you can talk down through the clouds at us mere mortals here looking up at you as you do your research.
the broad area is what is called Lie theory. So Lie was a Norwegian mathematician who lived in the 19th century, wasn't it? Yeah. And so he was studying symmetries of differential equations, which show up in physics in many applications. And what we are more particularly interested in is algebraic aspects of this theory.
We spoke to David Wallace, the director of the institute here, and he was saying that mathematicians were characterised by the fact that there was no on or off time. You were always on, 24 hours a day when you were, washing. Your mind was kind of working in a mathematical way. Would you say that that's the case both for yourselves and for the people who come here?
Well, just ask our spouses. They can tell you. tell you, they'll talk to you and you say yes or no, and then they'll turn around and say, what did I just say? And you don't remember what it is. So yes, that's simply true. You just don't ever turn off. I mean, it lingers. It's always sort of in the back of your mind, and it works. And it's sort of a good thing, right? So we don't have to have a lab. Sometimes we use a computer, but we don't have to, be in a particular environment or be at a particular place to do our research. So very often we don't even need paper and pencil. It's just, you circle ideas around and you can do this in your head. And of course, you don't do this in the solitary confinement of your home very often or your office. You want to do this in a place like this. I mean, also when you look around here, almost every empty space is taken up by a board, by a blackboard, and you see them used every single day. There's people spending hours and hours in front of these boards and throwing ideas back and forth. It's a team, very much of a team effort.
I see.
Our business is really generating new ideas, and since we have, at any stage of any time, we have 20 experts from around the world who all contribute their ideas. It cascades in a sense, so you get a real critical mass happening, and that's the wonderful thing about a place like this.
Of course,
I see.
Of course, it would be naive to believe that there is no sport spirit among mathematicians. If you come across a great idea, you try first to think yourself, what can I make out of it? But very often, if it's really a good idea, it will have connections with other things, so it will even be extremely helpful and fruitful to discuss this with other people and make it maybe even bigger or better. Yeah? But I guess it also depends on individuals. There are people who are very prominent and they work for themselves. They are, I don't know, powerful enough, or they have their particular way of thinking that it's difficult to easily communicate this with others. But I would say this is, maybe it's only 10 or 20% like this, and the large majority.
Difficult to put a number on this, but
yeah.